right. Hello, everyone. It is me, Rashi, and another episode of Parent to Parent. This time around, like it is in the title, it says this one is personal because it is very personal to me. I am dealing with this, struggling with this in my brain that if you've been following me, even through my career here at Fox, I've had my kids here. And so my son, Ryan, who we'll bring up right here. I put a picture out there. Here he is. He is 5. And y'all, he is going to kindergarten in August, it's August 4th. And his school starts in a couple of weeks. And I'm not going to say I'm a wreck. I can't believe it. And I'm like, we all went through kindergarten and stuff and we're fine, but it's kind of times are different. And we went to talk to some teachers and they asked him, they said, Ryan, go tell this other teacher your mom's first and last name and her phone number. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, I have not taught my child my phone number. I mean, I don't even think my husband knows my phone number by heart because we have everything on our smartphone. So these are just things that are like, so I would say common, like you would think, oh yeah, of course I would need to do that. But until someone tells you to, you don't think, okay, yeah. And so there's a checklist. There's so many other things just because of the internet and stranger danger and just the environment that we live in now, which is both good and bad, that I thought that this would be a great way to kind of start back to school. I know August is, I don't know what the exact term is, but it's like getting your kindergartner ready for school, something like that. Anyway, we're all getting ready for school, whether you like it or not. So I have a very special guest today joining me, Lisa Gormley. She is the associate Dean of University of Phoenix College of Education. Thank you so much for joining us.
Sure, Rashi. I'm glad to be here.
Yes. So I know you have 3 grown children. So, but you've gone through it 3 times. I think, do you remember the first time?
Oh, I do. And my heart goes through. It's hard on the mom and dad.
It's so much harder on the mom and dad. I mean, it's crazy because I'm wondering if I should take off that day for me.
For your mental health day.
For my own mental health. Like, I don't know if I can do all this like on that same day or should I? It's crazy. But from your experience, what advice do you give parents because you've been through it yourself?
Well, for parents, I first tell them, that the week after school starts, they're going to be so involved and excited about school. It's like I said, it's difficult on the parents. But I do have advice for them in preparation for kindergarten. One of the first things I would say is to help your kids develop independence at home first. And what I mean by that is like making their bed. Maybe let them pick out their clothes. Some people do, but some people don't. You might have a wreck, but let them have that independence. Maybe a couple chores or something like that so they have independence at home. That'll help them when they go to school. Another thing is focus on self-help skills. That's huge. And something
I made like a little graphic to go with all of this.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Self-help skills. So, they're going to be going to the restroom by themselves. Make sure they can button their pants or zip jackets. I remember as a classroom teacher, sometimes kids didn't know how to zip their jacket because their parents always did it. I always did it. Wash their hands after they go to the restroom or before they eat. Wash their hands. Just teach them self-help skills and then responsibility, which kind of goes with the independence at home. But the way I did this with my own children, I would take them, we'd get our list, your list of supplies for school, and I'd take them and I'd have them pick out their supplies, and they kind of had ownership for that. And they pick out their backpack. And I know a lot of kids don't take backpacks anymore, but they would be in charge of what they were to take to school. So that was always good to teach them responsibility. And the last and the most important thing I think in preparation is develop and follow routines. Have a morning routine, have a bedtime routine, and establish an after school routine. So have an area for when they come home from school that they will always go to do their homework. It's not going to be necessary too much in kindergarten, but you'll be teaching them for future years. So when they're in fourth grade, they know I need to go work on my homework. The routine is great. Kids all like routine. I think we all do. Read aloud to your child. Children like that. Put that in your bedtime routine or your after school routine, but read aloud. And then lastly, engage child in meaningful literacy activities. Now, what I would say is, say you're going to the grocery store and you're buying milk. So you'll say, I need milk. Which word is milk? They can't spell milk probably
Right.
in kindergarten, but they'll associate and you show them what the word is. So that's a literacy activity that's fun. Another thing is when you're reading out loud to your child, tell them the title, have them repeat the title, the author, teach them what fiction and nonfiction is, and then have them look at the pictures and then ask them to predict what's this story about, judging from the title or judging from the pictures you see. What do you think this story is about?
Yeah, those are all awesome tips. I was going to tell you that developing a routine for the morning is something that I started doing with my son. And I realized after reading some just prep articles and stuff like that, that I was rushing him because as soon as he got up, I told, my husband would be like, Rashi, it's really not that big of a deal. I'm like, well, no, it's 7:15 now. So we got to do, okay, now we have to do this. And we don't even like to be rushed in the morning. So we need to, so my self-correct is to time everything out in terms of, look, between 7 and 7:15, because now he's like learning time too. We'll do this. We'll get our clothes. This is the time period for breakfast. And now this is the time period for that. So that has helped me because I thought I was doing a good job by being like, okay, we got to be out the door by this time, but it's not the end, Rashi. It's about the process.
Right.
So I think that, that's something I'd like just to tell parents that are preparing their child. As far as preparing your child and the safety measures, because it's crazy. It hit hard, the Uvalde shooting, as it did for so many. I don't know who it didn't hit hard for. And it's unfortunate that elementary kids have to not just do fire drills, like we did, but active shooter drills. So how do you explain that to a 5-year-old? Because they're going to have to take part in that.
Right. With 5-year-olds, what I would recommend is, first of all, they need to know their first and last name, how to spell it, but their phone number. Now home lines may not be around, but their mom or their dad's cell phone. They need to be able to repeat that. So if they can tell somebody my phone number. Unfortunately, we have to teach our children, never go anywhere with a stranger. If you do not know this person, even if they say, mommy said it's okay to go with you, they still can't go with them. That's a stranger. If it's aunt so-and-so or uncle and they know them, then they can go. They have to have a safety word. I think that's key. And I did that with my own kids, and that was like 15 years ago. But we had a safety word. And so if my sister was going to pick them up, she would say the safety word to them. So they'd know.
Can you explain that? Because that's really interesting. I've never heard of that. So what? No. So how do you develop, or what is that?
The kids come up with it with me, and I tell them, this is our special word. And say rabbit. So our word's rabbit.
You come up with this. So a safety word is basically you come up with a word with your child.
Yes.
And when do you use this word?
Whenever anybody besides mom or dad or whoever picks them up after school or wherever they're going, if it's someone different, then they need to give them their safety word. My sister was very close to my kids, but still it was out of the ordinary that she would be there. Or grandma. It was out of the ordinary. And they said, Mom told me to come pick you up, rabbit. And then they would go with them. So if they don't get the safety word, they didn't go.
Wow, that's so insightful. And I'll do that with my child as well, because I didn't even think about that. as far as talking with your child about guns and active shooter, what do you suggest there?
They're little, but they're not dumb. And you have to talk to them. You have to not show them the news and not tell them, with the details, but they need to know that there are bad people out there, and they have to keep themselves safe. In school, as a classroom teacher, we even worried about that. And I haven't been in the classroom for 10 and a half years, but what was really tough is you had to keep those kids safe. And I think of those teachers, and I know what was going through their head. And makes me emotional, because what they were going to protect those kids at any cost. And so just my advice would be to stay with the teacher. Just stay with your teacher. Do what your teacher says to do, especially at the little ones, because you don't want to scare them either. Every time they see somebody strange, or in the classroom, if they hear a noise, you don't want them to go running. You have to be careful with the little ones.
Right. And that's what, I think you were also talking about, like, emotionally preparing your students for kindergarten.
Yes.
It's so funny because my son is right now in like this Montessori school.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, wow, your classroom's going to be so much bigger in your next school. And he goes, that's great. We don't have to go from the carpet to the desk, to the carpet to the desk. We get to go all over the place. So he's excited about that. And that is exciting. But it could be overwhelming as well. So how do you kind of deal with all of that?
Well, especially kindergartners, they are going to have the full gamut of emotions that first week. And as a parent, you have to acknowledge their feelings. You can tell them, I understand you're scared. You could acknowledge that they don't like school. They don't like being away from you, but you just talk to them and keep that conversation going. Also teach them how to act if they don't agree with another child or an adult. Teach them the etiquette of how we act at school, the respect, but more importantly is talking to your kids. I know a lot of my friends did the same, but communicate with your kids. And I kept an open line of communication with my kids, and they would talk to me all through their teen years. Sometimes I heard things I didn't really want to hear, and I had to keep that blank face and act like I wasn't shocked or anything, but I was that safe person. And my husband too, but I was a teacher too, so we would go to the same school. So that's why they would confide in me. But let them acknowledge that they're scared, that they're angry, whatever it be, and let's just listen and tell them that's so.
And dealing with emotions of parents, I don't think I'm a mess. I'm like trying to get in touch with my feelings. I don't think I'm a mess or anything. I'm excited for him because this is the best thing for him. But, maybe deep down I am. I don't know. But what advice do you give parents? Because I'm sure that there's many that are like struggling because they stay at home, take care of their children, or whatever the case may be.
And Rashi, that's true. I stayed home with my kids. I wanted to be home with them. And then when my youngest went to school, that's when I went back to school. But what I would say is, just like you said, this is what you prepared them for the last 5 years. They're looking forward to going to school. It's a rite of passage. It's good for them. And it doesn't change when they go to high school. That's another one. It's tough. You see them when they drive off in the car and they go to high school, or when they go to college. I have a very good friend. Her daughter is going off to college, and it's her baby and her only girl. And she's going to college, and I'll never forget how emotional I was. But that's okay. But I don't think the parents, and I'm guilty of it, but I don't think, try to hide your emotions to an extent. It's okay that you tell them, I'm sad that you're going to school because I love to be with you, but now we get to have special time when you get home from school or after dinner, because you don't want them to feel guilty for going to school.
Right. And speaking of guilt, there's, for all the moms and dads that are working or have to work, whatever, I'm working. My hours are similar to other people where it's just not ideal because it's not a 9 to 5 job. I'm here a lot in the evenings. So I would say personally, I do feel guilty a lot. But I do try to be as present as possible during my weekends with the kids and the family. So I fill that cup of need for not just them, but me as well. And that has helped. So that kind of, I don't want to say the word balance because there's never going to be a balance. And I've learned that as well. So for those parents that feel guilty, I think you brought up a good point with setting aside time, or we'll have special time, that sort of thing, because for some parents, they have to work,
They have to, yeah.
You're going to lose the time, yes, that you may have had with your child. So how do you cope with that? Because one great solution is having that special time and it being so special.
Right, but you can make that special time if you're helping them with homework, whatever time of day it is. Like I had said, make it fun. Make homework fun. If they're learning how to write their name or spell words, put shading cream all over the island. And it's hard when you're an A-type personality doing that in your kitchen.
Yes.
And the kids, I get that. And the kids, they love it. Or my son and I would have those little Matchbox cars, and he'd move up one if he guessed something correct, and I'd always act like I wouldn't know. So he usually would win, but we'd make it fun.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even have to be just weekends. And the guilt, I'll be honest, I have guilt, and my kids are in their 20s, so I feel bad. Oh, I couldn't talk to them on the phone, and they don't, I don't talk to them that often. So I don't think that parent guilt ever goes away, but it's silly because it's quality over quantity.
Right.
Because you could be home with them all day and let them watch TV, Yeah.
And there's also something because I've done a lot of, listened just to a lot of, thinkers, leaders sort of thing that are kind of in the same situation and what they do and how they're doing it and how they cope with it. And it's more of just changing your way of thinking, because now a lot of both parents work. It's, back other generations, it was the mom would stay at home, which there's nothing wrong with that. But if the mother is also working and father as well, the child sees the benefits of, look, my parents are working, like I see them. We're going to be working too when we grow up, kind of thing. So there's pros and cons to both. And I've realized that, like, it's, and I've shared that with other fellow moms who work as well, because, even ideally, if you're a stay-at-home mom, you're going to be like, I want adult time, So
there's no right answer.
Right. Exactly. But I think the end goal is just to make sure that your child is loved. And also one of the pieces of advice a mother gave me was that they have a good self-esteem and throughout all the years. And I think as long as you keep those two in check, you should be okay. This is like a bigger step for me than like going to college. Like, it's human.
Well, it's your little human.
Yes, I know.
It's tough. And then you worry all day. What are they doing?
I know. And it's just us, like, and their vocabulary is so, like before I left for work, he goes, "Mom, check it out." And I'm like, "What? Where did you check it out from?" No, that's great. Well, I want to thank you so much for having this conversation with me and all of you on our Facebook page, our YouTube viewers, also on our website. Thank you for joining us. I think this is it's just such a special time, and we just have to like mentally get there, but it's all good. And look, you survived it and your kids are doing great. So
yep. We all survive, and we're all there. Be there for each other. That would be my big advice too. Be there for each other. Yes,
definitely. Well, so he doesn't go to school until a couple weeks, so we'll probably do a little post on this. Yes. See how I'm doing. You can check in on me.
Make sure you're okay.
I know, exactly. Well, thank you so much for being here. And if you guys have any questions, please do put them in the comment section, and we'll hope to get those answered. And I do hope you join us next week for another edition of Parent to Parent. Us parents got to stick together and, get through this thing one step at a time. So